Welcome to Big Boy Crypto, home of the BitSquad, largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. I don't know why I was using that voice. No channel is working harder. Keep you in the know when it comes to crypto. This is Around the Blockchain. We come to you Monday through Friday, 5:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today is Thursday, June 16th, where we talk about your favorite topics. And today we have the best panel we've ever had in the history of the show. We've never had this combination before, including a first-time guest. We're going to go ahead and start on the top right. I don't know why he's shaking his head. Maybe it's the market's got him down, but he's throwing up the W's, talking about crypto lifer. Hey, Celtics haven't won since the 80s. Then on the bottom right, we have Matt Schultz, straight from the Billion Set. Really looking forward to see what he has to say here. He's a CEO of a Sparks plug company. No, I'm kidding. We're talking about Sparks, of course. Really, really great technical company here. Then on the bottom left, we have Joel Comm, Bad Crypto Pod. And I got to get me one of those backgrounds so I can change behind it, you know, like a old school style, like a Tokyo apartment in the 60s. I need to give me one of those. Then on the top left, holding up that bin spot, we got RiceTVx, throwing up the X, but no, not like X-Pac from WCW. Talking about RiceTVx. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin. That was good. That was a good one, Rice. Bitcoin being oversold. The U.S. Air Force is involving crypto. This is real. Big news. And also, GPU mining. What is going to be going on with that? Is that going to be viable when you can no longer mine for Ethereum? But before we do that, let's look at the markets. Where is crypto heading at the moment? It's not looking good, folks. It is not looking good. Breaking. We have Ethereum at that 1,000 level, just fell below 1,100, and we have Bitcoin at the $20,000 level. There's been a lot of news lately. I'm going to bring it to you first, Crypto Lifer. We've had the Celsius attack. We had Three Arrows Capital. We've had a rate hike. And we're talking about in the last 48 hours. We're not even saying what's happened in the past month or the past week. This is all like last 2-3 days. What is the charts telling you? Is there's just too much economic news to where it's hard to predict? Or are we hitting some, targetable levels here?
Honestly, let's take a look. And shout out to everyone that's been sticking through these hard times, Honestly, even me and my trading group, we've been doing well, shorting and long on the markets and taking it by stride. I've actually done very well. Luckily, the last 7 days have been one of the best trading I've had for Bitcoin. But let's take a look. I'm looking at Bitcoin right now in an inverted head and shoulder. I'm just going to give you the temporal. If you're looking at it right now and you're looking at a trade, I do see bullish divergence in the 15, and it's very strong. Whenever I've seen that, like right there, we've had a bounce. Right there, had a little bit of a bounce. Not saying it's going to save us, and you see this big level of control that we've been bouncing off of. Right here, this is the VRVP, the visible range volume profile. It's going to tell you where there was a lot of buying and selling. And that's why we can't seem to get above this range. But if we do, what happens when you get above a node, a high volume node like this, you'll pop above it and you will pretty much rocket ship to the next high volume node, which is right around here. It's similar to if you put your head and you looked at it like you were a ball will roll right down the hill. So if we can get on the other side of the hill, we can roll. I'm playing an aggressive long right now. With 3x leverage, not too crazy. I only trade 3S and 3L tokens. I don't trade leverage on any type of liquidation, just 3L and 3S tokens. But I'm trading along right now. It could be, I might get stopped out. You never know. I'm trading on this leverage, on the divergence. The 1 hour also has the same slightly divergence, and it's bigger. It's called a hidden divergence. This is a slightly bigger sharp. Now I'm going to flip to the daily chart for you, and the daily has this giant divergence. I've seen this exact divergence like 2 or 3 times in my life. I can't remember where, somewhere back in here, but it's this elongated flat, side, and then you get this divergence here. So I'm seeing this is another bullish divergence. So low stochastic, bullish divergence. I just, I'm playing that to the upside, at least to this next rejection point, could get us to 27,000. Not guaranteeing it. We also see some other things on the other side. And big side. The 2-week chart has never been this low. Like, it's the lowest you see the 2-week. The RSI is the lowest it's been. We're about to hit the 200-day moving average on the 2-week chart. Something that Bitcoin never has done. Look, never. It just touches it here. When it touches it on the 2-week chart, that represents a bottom. On the VPVR, you see a lot of action here at 12K. Do we make a capitulation to 12K? Never see it again and come back? That's possible, but I believe we are somewhat closer to the bottom. I put in $5,000 yesterday. When I start allocating 25% of Bitcoin's price, it usually means I'm feeling the bottom. Crypto fear and greed index all the way down to 7. The 3 times I didn't buy at 7 was the worst decision I ever made. So I have to allocate at these times. Whenever the 2-week chart is below the stochastics, I'm in there. So not saying we won't go lower. But this is where you, as a long-term trader, I feel like I must be allocating.
Okay, 200 moving average on the 2 week, 400 weeks. 400 weeks is what, roughly about 8 years, about 7 years, 10 months, 9 months or so. So, okay, so yeah, that wouldn't even have started until 2019. Okay, yeah, newer indicator. I like that.
Oh,
all right,
smart, DZ. I'll put you on the math team, man.
I have an accounting background, and you know, top Magic the Gathering player, folks. You know, I was pretty good, so you know, I had I put all my math skills into lightning bolt. That's where I put all that all that math skill. Hey, it worked. Hey, hit that like button if you want to LARP. But we'll wait for Bitcoin to be above.
I appreciate it.
All the time. Anytime. We love to have you on here. Well, we're talking about Bitcoin being cheaper than it looks. This came from someone from Fidelity here. This is the director of global macro at Fidelity. Is it cheaper than it looks? Here is the closest thing to a profit and earnings metric for Bitcoin here. And they call it the price versus value. And we are hitting levels not seen since the 2017 crash and the 2013 levels. So we're seeing very, very high, quote unquote, valuation for Bitcoin according to this. And there's some other metrics. I mean, we could look at it. Here's the demand curve. We are below the demand curve. First time this has happened in a long time. And we're in these technically oversold areas. Here we have the Bitcoin dormancy flow. We can see it hanging out in this green zone. Doesn't really like to do it too much. We can see it. We saw it late 2019. We saw it the middle of 2018. What happened after that? We, you know, moved to the upside. Again, this came after some local tops. So we're seeing a lot of analysts. You know, they have a lot of entity-adjusted dormancy flow, and they have, you know, the profit earnings version of the, you know, the price versus value. So coming up with all these metrics on whether or not, you know, are we oversold? Are we undervalued? Where is Bitcoin relative to this? Joel, I'll bring this to you. Things have quieted down somewhat when it comes to, you know, the hype cycle, Google trends. I'm sure, you know, crypto YouTubers are feeling the push, you know, really not as exciting. What things do you think have to happen? You know, where are we going to be in the short term when it comes to excitement? When Bitcoin hits those low levels, since it's a little bit more popular, is there any possibility that the downside can create quote unquote excitement or buzz or attention that we didn't see in 2018, that we didn't see in 2014? We haven't really ever seen excitement when the price is low. Could that be a narrative now, though, because it's gained a little bit more adoption and people say, haha, these people are getting owned?
That was the longest question I've ever had.
Yeah, I was rambling there. I kind of want to explain my point, though, because, you know, it really hasn't happened before where is there going to be hype when we're hitting new, you know, these very, very low levels?
Of course there's going to be, and, you know, eventually the NASDAQ and, you know, Dow Jones can continue to slide, but I think we're going to see Bitcoin be stronger against that in the short term. That is based on absolutely no charting whatsoever. I trust Matt, you know, for that. I just heard something about bipolar stochastic divergences in there. I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but here's the thing. We know that for sure every day in government, in Fortune 500s, in small businesses, in small investors, in development, everything's moving forward. Nothing has fundamentally changed in terms of blockchain development and Bitcoin access and where this is all heading. All we're looking at is the price here, but we know that this thing is moving like a flood. And I think what we're experiencing right now, it reminds me of what we lived through in 1999 when we had the dot-com bubble burst. And all of a sudden we realized that, oh, there was a lot of venture capital thrown after businesses that weren't really businesses. And then we truly did build back better from 2000 to 2004. And now the internet is ubiquitous. Blockchain is going to be the very same. Bitcoin is going to lead the way. I'm not concerned about the price. Is it oversold for me? No, because I haven't sold any. And I'm going to be buying. I'm looking for that entry point. And if you look at what little I do know about charting is that our previous all-time high before this last one was just under 20,000. And historically, Lifer can correct me if I'm wrong on this, we have never gone below a previous all-time high on a bear market. Is that right, Lifer?
That is 100% correct, Joel. You might have been the only one that lived through that 99 though. I'm just messing with you.
No, I was there too, man. But I was still a little younger.
I was 18, 16, something like that.
Yeah, I'm the old guy here. I'm the guy who was dialing into BBSs in
I'm not far behind you, Joe.
1980.
I'm not far behind you.
You're awesome, man.
Hey,
You're awesome.
hit that like button if you remember AOL discs. Let's get a little. Let's check the age of the chat. But let's move on here.
Dialing in at 300 baud on a coupler modem in 1980. Raise your hand if you remember that.
All right, all right, Web TV. That was a little bit older. All right, now Matt. Of course, we have Matt Schultz, co-founder of CleanSpark. I'm sorry. Bitcoin mining solutions, trying to bring more just better technology and just better solutions that don't impact the environment as much when it comes to mining Bitcoin. But I want to talk to you about energy prices here. We have energy prices hitting all-time highs. Now, I know it is localized within certain areas, but it's going to have broad impacts globally here. With a surge of price when it comes to electricity, is that possible that could translate into higher Bitcoin prices in the future? If the miners all of a sudden are paying $40,000 to mine a Bitcoin, do you think that they would sell at 30, that they would sell at 20, whatever the number might be? Can that narrative help Bitcoin's price in the, next 2 to 4 years?
It's a great question. I actually think it might be the inverse of that. What we're seeing is more miners selling their HODL at a more rapid rate than ever in history. So that, in my mind, comes from a lack of, I guess, hedging or properly structuring their power purchase agreements. CleanSpark is unique in that we signed our PPAs, we built infrastructure, we acquired immersion stuff. We use nuclear power and focus on renewables because it's such a capital intensive business that by being the ESG profile and fitting all that and utilizing NASDAQ's ESG advisory group to kind of build our roadmap, it's given us access to institutional capital that we wouldn't have otherwise had. So in answer to your question, is energy price going to drive Bitcoin? I think what we're seeing right now is the inverse. We're actually there when Bitcoin was $60,000 and China had just come offline. You see a massive decrease in difficulty and a rapid run up in price. And so a lot of the large scale institutional or industrial scale miners made huge bets on new mining rigs. When Bitmain launched this new XP 140 terahash model back in September, October, they were selling that thing for $100 a terahash. And now what's happened is that when you participate in mining at that scale, you order massive quantities of miners, pay a significant down payment, and then you've got delivery metrics that you got to meet, and then there are obviously subsequent payments due upon delivery. Capital was fast and easy. Everybody was raising money back then, and it was quick and easy.
Yeah, yep. Got a call. Good.
Sorry, guys. Anyway, my apologies. So what's happened now is the deliveries are starting to show up and people don't have capital to get them. So we're seeing an abundance of miners come on the market at discounted prices. When they launched the XP, they were $100 a terahash. Spot pricing is $60 a terahash. We dropped a press release today that we're buying at a significant discount to those spot prices. So what we're seeing, rather than energy prices driving Bitcoin up, the increase in energy is causing miners to unplug. So it's creating excess capacity with regard to mining rigs. And it's going to, our thesis is that it's going to continue to have an impact on difficulty because, an S9 or an S17 doesn't make money today. Yeah. So if you don't have, an S19, and if you don't have a really good power purchase agreement, you're not making money. And beyond that, you don't have access to capital if you don't have a good ESG profile, because none of the institutional investors are
had to bust in ESG.
Yeah. Oh God, you said ESG
is a World Economic Forum.
You've triggered Rice. Rice, I want to talk to you about terahash. No, I'm just kidding. I'll let you speak on the ESG, but kind of want to bring it in the, we have indicators of this, indicators of that, indicators of electricity. What should someone, take into effect? What do you consider more important, these specific indicators or global macro environment And with that, I'll let you do your ESG, not rant, but tirade.
Well, thank you again for having me back on Around the Blockchain. I really do appreciate it. And yes, as far as ESG, this is just a World Economic Forum scam to kind of push people into a box that doesn't even fit what ESG says is supposed to fit. They've actually put Tesla as a downgraded entity, but yet something like Shell Oil Company is a top ESG company. So I wouldn't even try to even give validity to the ESG BS crap, period. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin, most of you guys know I'm in this for the change is going to bring the creative destruction. So I'm looking at everything from a macroeconomic level. When everything else crashes, Bitcoin is going to be that lifeboat that's waiting for everybody. And I do want to apologize about my voice. I lost it while I was in Austin. I'm still trying to recover it, but I had to make sure I made this appearance because I got love for the entire Bit Squad. Now, Bitcoin right now is being manipulated. We see what's happening with the talk about Celsius and all that stuff. We also hear about Michael Saylor and where is his bottom line for having to sell. And Michael Saylor's not talking about selling. We're at economic disaster. People are counting on the Federal Reserve to fix a problem that they fixed, which is absolutely ridiculous that people are even going to just continue this. Let's go Fed when they caused the problem, and all these central banks caused the problem. Bitcoin is going to remain right now. Just as Pomp said in that article that was sent, weak hands are selling to strong hands. This is complete manipulation. They're trying to shake out the weak hands, and people don't need to let the fear of missing out, of losing US dollars, or the FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt to control their mind. When you get into this thing, realize why you got involved in crypto. Realize why you love Bitcoin. If you got in this for US dollars, then right now is not the right time for you to be playing this game. But if you got in this because of what the US dollar and fractional reserve banking has done to make you a slave to this system, and you don't want to be a part of that system, then you're in the right boat, and just stay in that boat because everybody else is going to be joining us soon enough.
All right, I love it. And chat's loving the member berries. So with the real eyes, I'm going to give you the Tupac quote. Real eyes realize real lies. I'm sorry.
Lies.
All right. You know what? Biggie's
Shout
better.
out.
I said it. Let me pull it back here. All right, let's talk a little U.S. Air Force. We're about 18 minutes in. U.S. Air Force is enlisting SIMBA blockchain. No, not the little line you hold in the air here. It's a blockchain as a service company, and they want to tokenize their supply chain issues. They want to tokenize where they're spending their money. They want to tokenize their entire infrastructure of their logistics side of the U.S. Air Force to maybe better track the dollars. Where are they going? Why did we have a $8,000 toilet? Why did we have a pencil that cost $5,000? So
how did we lose all that money at the Pentagon? What happened to that?
Yeah, where did all that go? Why did that? Anyway, all right. See, we're about to get this episode banned if we keep this up.
I'm sorry, guys.
Other branches have also implemented plans or, said that they plan on rolling out things within the next year, including the Space Force. Say what you want about that. But Lifer, I'm going to ask you to take off your Celtic pride tattoo you have across your whole back. Put on your America hat. Do you think that putting government records on the blockchain is going to be good for transparency reasons? Or it's just a easier narrative to manipulate the people like, yeah, this is what it is, wink. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, everyone knows that I'm starting the blockchain party, and I want to see that become the next party in this country. So I'm with any time of government implementation of blockchain. I believe this is a national security issue. Think about it. If they can move funds faster, they can get troops in a certain place faster, allocate resources faster. Blockchain should have been implemented 5 or 6 years ago. The second they started working pretty well, and maybe they do. Hopefully the NSA and the back ends of our smart, amazing, intelligence, 3-letter word agencies will have that all wrapped up in a nice little ball right now. But yeah, I believe that this is awesome. I mean, I'm excited. I always heard that Gollum had something to do with the back end in the little bit. So SIMBA Chain is the chain. It's for the United States Air Force. Yeah. And $1.5 million contract is pretty cool, pretty interesting. I think it's awesome. And I think it's a national security issue. I think we need to implement the most fastest type, because think about it. You want to get troops in a certain area. You need to move a lot of money. You need to buy weapons. You need to do something. Blockchain is going to make it easier and faster. So if another country's doing it, we better start doing it. I think this is important. I like it.
Okay. Now, Joel, why do you think they went with SIMBA instead of, like something that's maybe existing already? Obviously, My brain wanted to say Solana because that's where you go when you think of transactions for a second. But obviously, we're not going to use that. But like a Polygon or something, there are other options that do work. Why do you think that they chose SIMBA instead of, one of the other existing blockchains?
Well, I actually know nothing about SIMBA, so I can't say what the specific requirements were as they analyze it. I know they're looking for, certain things, and maybe it's more private. I don't know. I'm a big fan, though, of government getting involved in blockchain and being more transparent for we the people. I'm a big fan of, us not spending $1,000 on a hammer. This is really the people who oppose this. Watch for who opposes this type of movement, and you're going to know who's got the hands in the pockets that are, skating off their little pieces here.
Cookie jar.
Yep, they got their hands all over the cookie jar. And I'll tell you this, don't be dissing on Space Force, man. For years, we grow up watching Star Trek and Star Wars and dreaming of the future that's coming. And then they go ahead and announce Space Force and people are laughing. That's like laughing at Jeff Bezos for selling books out of his garage. Space Force is serious business.
No, I'm to be clear, as lighthearted, I am all for, capabilities of extending to other planets and beyond.
We got to boldly
my country to be a leader in that.
But the shape of the rocket is a problem.
No, well, that's another story. And SIMBA, just to be clear, SIMBA is not the coin SIMBA you see on like CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap. It is a different thing. SIMBA had his father murdered by Scar. Spoiler alert. Sorry there. No, they do have a lot of real customers. Department of Defense, Microsoft, DARPA, Caterpillar, Boeing, Consensus, Zuckerberg Media. So they have a lot of partners. It is a legitimate chain. Now, Rice, I got to throw you this type of question here. Aside from classified information, should this data be available to the public?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, that doesn't mean that because they're going to be utilizing blockchain technology that it's going to be available to the public. It could just be available in-house. Now, I think it should be transparent. I agree with what Joel said. I would like to see governments and businesses utilizing blockchain technology. And if you think about blockchain, the invention of blockchain, one of the important parts is the encryption element, which came from our government. So they might as well be using some of the technology they helped us to create in the first place if they didn't create it to begin with. But the SIMBA chain is a blockchain as a service platform. And if you're going to get a government contract, you have to bid for that contract. So these are centralized entities that know what they're doing, trying to get those government contracts. You're not going to see the U.S. Air Force just reaching out to a blockchain project. The blockchain project should be trying to get involved with the government contracts if that's what they're wanting to do with the bids. Now, again, this also comes back from 2019, so everybody's aware. This isn't exactly like new news. I'm not sure why they are reposting it in this sense. Maybe there's some new additions to it. But using blockchain specifically with the U.S. Air Force for tracking and monitoring the military's cash flow and supply chain quality and management. And I see supply chain management and quality being a big issue that blockchain can solve, especially when you can know where the source of what you're trying to obtain comes from. If you're dealing with coffees, you can find it comes from a farm that you support their methodology and how they're growing their coffee and such. So it gives you that availability. We also have Navy gave Consensus, not the I can't say the word, the convention, but the actual entity Consensus, a $1.5 million contract for a blockchain logistics system that's going to be called HealthNet. And then as Joel Comm said, Space Force is going to be releasing NFTs to commemorate their various patches and coins in regards to their various different spaceships and such. So I think it's cool, and I think you're going to see a lot more businesses use this. I like the idea of corporate social responsibility versus ESG, and I think government can take on those kind of aspects as well, and that just adds more transparency to what people are doing. But yeah, again, when it comes to like classified information, you don't want to have that available because that could be used against our nation, unfortunately.
Yeah. But unless you're telling me,
transparency purposes, we need it.
Just tell me what's in Area 51. I've been captivated since Montel Williams talked about it when I was like 7 years old.
Dinosaurs.
All right, Matt, Rice gave some really good examples of, all these different agencies using blockchain technology. How long do you see it being before pretty much every government branch is using some form of, whether it's for accounting, whether it's for logistics, whether it's for payroll, some form of a blockchain technology? Is this something that's 1 year away, 20 years away? What kind of timeline are you giving this?
I think it's already happening. So CleanSpark was kind of born out of the energy space. We built microgrids and we worked a lot with the military, and energy has evolved to the point that, you know, if you generate power now, you can participate in grid programs with demand response. A lot of that stuff, you know, the next iterations of that, where you're transferring energy back and forth rapidly on between facilities kind of behind the meter, you ledger that on the blockchain already. So I think the adoption is going to become fast and furious. Having built contracts at Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton, understanding the sluggish nature of contracting and procurement, as well as the security that they use. I mean, for example, we built microgrids that control guidance, navigation, and communication in the Pacific Theater for the Marines. And, you know, all those energy systems are built under these antiquated like C4 ISR cyber secure programs that really aren't anymore. So I think the blockchain really helps that. And just to add one more point, Snowden at Consensus talked about the fact that just because it's on the blockchain, you can see the van going from point A to point B, but you can't see who's in the van. So I think it still provides that level of anonymity and security that we're lacking. So personally, I think, you know, if we're talking a realistic horizon, I think we start to see adoption 2023 and it scales from there.
Okay, nice. All right, well, let's talk a little GPU mining. It's okay, gamers. The GPUs are going to hit the market. They're already doing it. You don't have to stand in the, you know, in line in the tent for 7 days in front of the Best Buy trying to get the, you know, your special mining rig. So GPU mining, what is going to happen after ETH switches to proof of stake? A lot of people are speculating it's going to be a lot of GPUs kind of sitting on the sidelines. There's other coins, even though Ethereum does have the lion's share, over 90% of all mining does go to Ethereum. After that is switched, are these people going to sell them? Are they going to be looking to mine a Raven coin, an Ergo, one of these other coins? But people have done the math. There's really not that much daily output to be split. There's millions of people just going to be trying to split, you know, very, very little money with the costs. People have done the numbers. It is not going to be profitable to mine basically anything afterwards. However, with this increase in energy, the merge drawing closer, the hash rate is dropping dramatically for Ethereum. So, you know, you can ride off into the sunset, still do okay. Lifer, I almost want to give you a little alpha here. Is it possible that there's going to be a proof of work that is just going to pop? Is there any chains that you're looking at? Have you thought about looking at Raven? Have you thought about looking at Ergo? Because a lot of people are going to be mining it. The cost to mine each individual coin is going to skyrocket relative to electricity costs. Is there any play there? Is any arbitrage there? Is that something, you know, you've thought about yet?
It's funny. I've always been a huge fan of Patrick Byrne, and Raven coin was the first coin I ever mined because you could mine it on your computer pretty easily.
Me too.
I traded it back and forth. You actually giving me like some nostalgia because I haven't like thought about Raven coin in about 8 or 9 months.
I mean, that could be the one. Fortunately, I think it's like 3 cents. It's a good thing. It's a good thing that we're not talking or thinking about Raven.
Yeah. Especially all that undercover stuff. Anyway, but the thing about, I'm excited because I always wanted to get into mining. I missed the boat a little bit. I still believe even if you get a piece of the pie, I know you're saying that it might not be huge, but I still believe in blockchain. And I believe 10 years from now, I'm a guy who likes to hold things long term. And, you know, not everything has to be a quick play. And if I could jump into the mining game, like I want to set up big miners at one point and start allocating, like build a shed and all that. But I mean, if more people, even if people just set it up and they learn, people get excited. It's exciting. You ever tinker with a Raspberry Pi? You ever play with Peck? I used to take apart drones when I got into them. I got into drones. I think it's just good if more people can be involved. Even if they just mine a little bit of coin, this is adoption. This makes people excited. More and more people can be a part of it. I like it. I'm super excited about this. You know, I don't know how far it will go. And I like your point that it'll make a gap for something else. I'm not sure what that coin will be at the present moment. You know, but Raven's kind of a cool idea. You know, Vert coin was another one that I used to mine back in the day. But this is an awesome topic to bring up. Some people don't even really know what proof of stake to proof of work is. You know, that's when, you know, basically you're not going to have to sit there and waste as much computing power. You know, you can stake your coins to represent, you know, them. So it's going to save energy. So, you know, make it look more green. But, and I'm not, you know, again, I'm I know that's a whole kind of web.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you mine Raven as well. Makes me yeah, we have a little similarity there. All right, but yeah, I would recommend
just to do.
Maybe maybe Google the top proof of work, see what is trending best, see what has the most engagement online, whether it's Twitter or whatnot. Now, Joel, Crypto Lifer kind of brought up a good point. There is a lot of FUD about proof of work mining. With all the FUD, I don't see this narrative reversing course. I just see this narrative perhaps getting worse. Maybe you disagree. Will proof of work mining exist in its current form, say 5 years from now? Or will it just be too toxic to environmentalists?
No, I think proof of work will still exist. And yeah, if you want to go to Raven, by the way, it's 2 cents right now. So super cheap. You know who's rejoicing about this? Gamers. Gamers are rejoicing because getting, I tried mining Ethereum on my gaming computer, my PC one time, and it just went, I felt like there was demons in there just clawing away at my hard drive and processor is, completely unusable. You have to have, a whole bank of servers in order to pull this thing off. But yeah, I think proof of work is going to be around. There are certainly dangers to proof of stake. Now, I'm a big fan of proof of stake, and we chose the Wax blockchain to mint over 1.5 million NFTs. And I got to tell you, it cost me just fractions of what it would cost to do work like that on Ethereum. And the miners have benefited greatly, especially from the last NFT boom. The gas fees were just outrageous. I remember minting a Gary V a sports pass, and at that time there were so many people going to mint them. I saw gas for $6,000 at one time just to mint one FT. I'm like, this is out of control. Now I am concerned about proof of stake, because what if somebody like Google is buying up Ethereum at these prices? What is the danger of somebody having enough to truly move the markets any direction they want them to go? We talk about manipulation with Bitcoin. I think that we're going to see a lot more manipulation with Ethereum, with it going to proof of stake.
Good point. Now, Rice, I kind of want to bring this to you now. He brings up a good point. Is decentralization on equal footing when it comes to proof of stake versus proof of work? He kind of brings up a good point. Proof of stake, you have a big whale come in and take, a nice majority of coins and then kind of direct it in the direction they would like.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, unfortunately, this can happen even with things like Bitcoin. I mean, now that we've got to the point that we have to have ASIC miners, it's not for the everyday individual to be able to mine Bitcoins having ASIC miners. I mean, I think I've heard of one instance where a single miner has actually hit the lottery and been able to solve a block and get its reward. It may have happened on more than one occasion, but ultimately, I mean, when the hash power goes up to a certain degree, from my non-technical understanding point, it reaches a point that just normal computers aren't going to be able to mine. Now, as far as proof of work and proof of stake, I mean, I feel like both have a necessity and a need, and there's a purpose for both. And another thing that we can also look at is the Bitcoin blockchain itself using proof of work. As far as I know, and I could be wrong, but as far as I know, this is the most secure network on the planet, as far as I'm aware. And it's been proof of work that's done that. And I've also seen within the space, where miners are looking for better sources of energy, going to states or countries with cheaper energy costs, looking for green, renewable, alternative sources of energy. I feel as if the crypto space is helping to innovate things in that manner, because they don't want to spend all this money on electricity when they can be using alternative sources and spending less. I mean, that's the only smart way of doing it. But again, I think that they serve their purpose. And Joel made a point with the Ethereum blockchain and the fees that went on. I'm not a fan of centralization in every aspect. I feel like there's a time and a place. But having a blockchain that has that centralization will allow for that faster throughput, which will give you those cheaper transactions. So there's a trade-off that comes with that when you're dealing with the blockchain trilemma. The blockchain trilemma is dealing with that scalability, security, and decentralization. And normally you're seeing one of those being sacrificed. And in that instance, you're seeing most instances, you're seeing decentralization being sacrificed in the case of Solana, Binance Smart Chain, Wax, and such. But again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But when we're dealing with currency, the currency of our world, and what we're going to be using for everyday transactions, which up until now has been controlled by banks and keeping us in a system. I feel as if a proof of work system is going to be the most beneficial for us to secure these networks for us to move forward as a species.
Okay. And yeah, shout out to Wax. I sold the top of Wax. Hold on, I'm getting a word. I sold 10% of my bag at the top, rode 90% down. Okay, maybe 70%, but I wrote it down. All right, Matt, I want to ask you, you know,
still sold the top, man.
I got lucky. Yeah, 10%. You know, we're talking about, you know, this kind of non-technical perspectives here. Matt, you are the technical guy. 2 bonus points if you can answer this without CleanSpark coming out. I'm just kind of joking here. Where do you see this? You know, what is kind of your summation of what will happen once this switch happens? Because we're going to have tons of GPU miners, and I know you're a Bitcoin guy, but tons of GPU miners are just going to be kind of sitting there waiting to do something. What do you think is going to happen? What is that landscape going to look like?
It's an interesting question. You know, you say when the merge happens. I think the question is if the merge happens, because it seems to be perpetually delayed.
Got
so
them.
You know, I know that theoretically it's the right idea, but I think that maybe a different way to look at it is proof of work consumes a ton of energy, but if you're using that energy consumption to create a spinning reserve or energy storage to benefit the surrounding areas, and the energy underlying that is renewable and makes a difference from an environmental impact standpoint, then I think the whole idea to shift to something less secure like proof of stake kind of flies out the window. You know, there obviously there's going to be a ton of rigs sitting around, and what do you do with them? If the merge happens, then in fact does Ethereum lose its substitutability when compared to Bitcoin, and does that increase the vulnerability or the likelihood that there's maybe centralization? Because I think it is the decentralization, the cost of the network, and the infrastructure that's now required. I mean, you can't be a hobbyist and mine Bitcoin anymore. But the network, you know, Saylor talked about it yesterday. I'll give you $100 billion and you can't duplicate the network. And that is in fact true. And I think it is that decentralization that drives the value, creates the security. So, you know, what happens post merge? You know, it puts Ether more on par with, you know, Solana, Cardano, whatever. I think that it kind of changes the landscape, and it goes from, you know, a store of value and a currency to just more of a currency. And, you know, I echo the sentiment that the lack of stability currently with regard to the gas fees. My kid is a big NFT kid, and you know, he was showing me some of the gas fees to mint Bitcoins, and it's just to mint NFTs. So it's just kind of mind-boggling. But I think my thesis is that proof of work is going to be what continues to build the energy ecosystem that supports all the blockchain.
Okay, and I'm saying this in jest, but
to add something on real quick, I would love to see even Ethereum do this, because there's other blockchains that have done this and done it successfully, doing a hybrid model where they're allowing for the proof of work and the proof of stake. That way you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. And I would love to see Ethereum work towards something like that. I mean, it would have been great if they would have tried to combine that with what they were doing, utilizing some of the current models that were already out there. I'm not going to list the coins, but it is possible to go to those hybrid models of proof of work and proof of stake.
Just you know, to close, I do feel environmentalists would not accept that as being acceptable still. And Matt, this is just, you know, it's said in jest, but I picture, you know, a Bitcoin maxi father and then the ETH loving child, and it just sounds like a sitcom, like ripe for good entertainment. You guys start filming your interactions, man. I'm smelling a reality TV series here, but that is all we have. And Matt, it actually looks like you won. I think it was, you know, I gave you extra points for not saying CleanSpark there. Feel free, leave us with some parting thoughts. Shill your CleanSpark as much as you want. It's your stage. It's the world's your oyster. Matt, you got about 10, 30 seconds, wherever you feel. Go ahead.
Well, you know, as I was prepping for this and I was looking at the Air Force stuff, I missed the opportunity to say that the Air Force creating a tokenized system is really just in response to the Navy having Top Gun, right? It's just a marketing exercise. So anyway, not to continue to shill CleanSpark or Bitcoin. We really feel like that we're at a tipping point, and with the scarcity that exists, we're excited about what the future holds, and completely feel like it's oversold, and excited to be here.
Programmable scarcity. Great stuff. We love it. That's what we're here for. And until next time, BitSquad, it's easy out.
Yeah.